Alright, hey guys, today I'm going to talk about Maintenance Monday. Just kidding, every day is a Maintenance Monday when you have an RV, just like having a house. You know, I'll do a real quick blurb on that. Everyone complains about, oh, having an RV must be super expensive. Yeah, it's expensive. Have you ever owned a house? Owning a house is expensive. When you're a full-time RVer, it's kind of, I'd say, equitable. Except that when my house breaks down here, I get to repair it in a different place every time it breaks down. When I was in a house, it broke in the exact same place every time, and I was stuck, doing repairs. I like doing as many repairs as I can, even when we had a house. It drives me nuts to pay someone $100, $200 an hour to do something that I can Google just as well as they did. I really noticed that with a lot of technicians and whatnot. And there's good technicians out there. There's also some that are just figuring it out just like you are. So be aware, if you have a good technician, cherish them. But if you can do as much maintenance as you can on your own, do that. You'll save a ton of money. And a lot of it's actually pretty easy. On that note, on to today's topic. Let me tell you something that we keep a spare part on hand for, because you will use one at least once a year on at least one of your units. This is the blower fan. It's also known as a squirrel cage. It goes into the air conditioning units on the roof. I have two. Most units have two. Many units have one. Doesn't really matter how many you have, but what we have learned to do is keep a spare of this in your bay. It will break. We have discovered it breaks annually on either of the units, so we go through about one per year. It's a remarkably bad design from an engineering standpoint. I'll show you when I get up there. It was designed to save money, not to be a good mechanical structure, but that's what manufacturers do these days. They design something so you can get it repaired somewhere else. The good news is, like I said, this is a very easy job to do on your own. When we go upstairs, I'll show you just how easy it is, and hopefully you'll be able to do your own when it does break, which it will. How do you know it broke? That's what you may be asking yourself. Let me tell you, you're gonna know. The unit sounds like it exploded. You can hear it spinning. You can hear just like a racket up there that, again, it's gonna sound catastrophic. You're gonna think the whole thing is ruined. But if you rush over and you shut your unit off and you open the top, you're going to see what I'm going to show you in a minute, which is just that this has probably broken free from the hub. And I'll walk through that more when I get up there. So let's get started. Hey, okay, before we get up on the roof, I do want to show you guys this real quick. If you have a set of standard and metric Allen wrenches, standard and metric sockets, and a kind of a multi-tool here with 1, 2, and 3 sized Phillips head and standard head screwdrivers, you'll probably have what you need for virtually every job 70% of the time. But 90% of the time you will need one more thing, so just be prepared to go back and forth to your toolbox. Not a huge deal, but these tools right here will cover most household jobs. When you're lifting this off, make sure to be careful of the fins back here. I'll show you the fins real quick. And as I was mentioning, this is an air conditioner. However, ours is an actual heat pump. The compressor itself reverses cycle. You see we have two separate directions for the coolant, which makes it either cool the inside by giving heat from the inside to the outside air, or warm the inside by giving heat to the inside from the outside air. And it's pulled by the fan. I don't know if you saw on the top of the housing, if I remember, I'll show you. There was an opening here for this exhaust fan. It's what pulls air through the unit. Here's our blower motor held together by rust. This is a pretty old unit. This is our condensate pump. Most units don't have this, but if you do, you want to make sure to do a little bit of maintenance on this regularly. I'll show you when I open up the shroud here. Let me pull that off. These are rusted shut usually. Wouldn't hurt to put some WD-40 on here or PB Blaster. I'm just going to try to massage it off. I didn't think about pre-treating it. It shouldn't break, but they often do, so I don't know what to tell you about that. You could put a new piece in if you wanted to, if it meant that much to you. The smart money would simply be to pre-treat it. Now I've got this stuck in here, so if you get it stuck, you can use a pair of pliers, or you can screw it back on here, a couple of threads, and then pull it right off. This one's busted. I can't even get to it, so let me see if we can pull it right off. Looks like it was probably broken the last time it had maintenance done to it. It also helps to have long, thin fingers. There's a lot of places down here that it's easy to lose parts. That nut actually fell off, so thanks to long, thin fingers, I was able to pull it out. Now we'll pull the fan shroud off. You want to come straight up with this as best you can. There's a lot of moving parts. I'll show you when we get it off. It's actually trying to hang up. There we go, that fell off. I'm going to explain this as if we were in cooling mode. It's a heat pump, so it reverse cycles, but in the warm season, when you're trying to cool the air, this unit right here has compressed coolant from the compressor. The compressor compresses the coolant, pumps it into here. It's very cold. It pulls the heat from the living space. That expands the coolant. The expanded coolant then goes to the other set of fins. The fan pulls outside air through that, cools that coolant back down. It turns it back to a liquid from a gas for the most part, and then the compressor takes the liquid that has been drawn down to the bottom tube and then compresses it. Cycle goes all over again. This is the housing for our blower motor. This pulls right up and off. There's a piece on either side that is here to help it. It's a shroud. When the other piece is on top, it keeps air from coming around these sides. So this pulls right up so we can access what I'll say is the worst part about this. We're going to take that loose. It's just going to take a screwdriver. When I say this was a bad design, because this is not balanced, it shakes all the time. Here's our brake right here. Sometimes you'll come up here and there's just stuff everywhere, which is what I'm used to. So when I looked at this initially, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't broken, but it is broken. This piece right here broke free, and it was making a ton of noise downstairs. When the whole thing breaks, I mean, I've had pieces of fan blade down in here, and it just rattles. It rattles all the time because it's not balanced. What do I think they ought to do? On this side here, just put a cheap saddle with, a Teflon bushing and a metal race, and just have it go into that, and then it would keep it from bouncing. I mean, nothing holds this together again but rust. On the older units, the newer units, this is all molded plastic, which will also go bad sooner or later. But let's work on taking this out and putting the new one on. I'm going to start with a number 3 Phillips. A slotted would definitely work, but the problem with a slotted head is you really have to be on the money, and Phillips is not going to work. Looks like square pieces. Yeah, a square bit would fit in there, which I didn't bring. Just like we said, often you'll come up here and discover the one piece that would be the perfect piece is not with you. But never fear, I happen to have a standard head bit. Not having the square bit is not the end of the world, and we'll just loosen this up. I could have unscrewed it, but it's kind of tight in here, so I'm just holding on, using the condensate line as an anchor for my screwdriver, and just spin it off. It's kind of funny how parts work like that. It also leaves me with a pretty good anchor on that screw head with a standard bit, which is, again, not my preferred method. Had I brought square bits up here, I would have used them, but it's coming loose pretty well. And I think that is it. Pull this out. The reason it was so easy to turn that, you'll see here in a second. Make sure to save this washer right here. You're going to need it for the new piece. If it comes off, let me see if I can pull this off. There we go. It let go that time. I still have this washer on here. I need to get that off. There we go. Do it out here. You don't want it to fall inside there. When you get the new piece, there's actually a rubber washer on the bottom of this, so we'll keep that. When you get the new piece, I hope you notice, this is a slotted shaft here. So it's narrow that way, it's wide that way for a round shaft. You'll notice on your new cage and the old cage, that end is slotted only. I'm sorry, this end is slotted only, this end is round. So this shouldn't take too much science to figure out it's only going to go in one way. So make sure you have it lined up with that slotted piece. So because it is slotted, have this slotted end facing out, the round side facing in. The round side obviously will easily go over the shaft, and then you'll want to line it up so that the slotted end comes all the way to the end here. There we go, that's lined up. There we go, I pushed it all the way down. That's flush. I'll take my screw here, reset it through this washer. I'm going to hand start it. And then we'll tighten it up. We're getting kind of tight. Do not over tighten these. You can break this. Get it hand tight. Don't try to go hand tight plus a quarter turn or anything crazy like that. It's on there good. We'll take this piece that we loosened, put it back in. There's our shroud. We'll take this shroud, put it back in. Take this, make sure your insulation side is facing your evaporator, and then we'll button it back up. You want it to go straight down because you've got these condensate tubes here. You got the fan motor shaft sticking here, so let's come down as straight as possible. I'm just kind of glancing at it, making sure it's clean. One of the things I do is annually I'll clean these fins real well. I use bleach. You can use pretty much any of the products on the market, but bleach is bleach. Bleach cleans everything. This is pretty good. I mean, is it perfect? No. Will you ever get it perfect? No, you won't. So I'm gonna call it good. And I'll go straight down with this. Make sure I'm lined up as best I can to all of my pieces. I felt really good about that. All of the fittings fell right over the existing bolts. I'm able to hand tighten, or hand start, the 3 nuts that we took off. If you recall, this one's already broken, so not terribly worried about that. We've got that one started. Be super aware of cross-threading these. You don't want to do that, particularly since they are already rusted. So that one felt good. Because it's rusted, it didn't go very far, so I should be able to, with ease, tighten it with the screwdriver, or the nut driver here. And I was. If it's hard to turn, you probably cross-threaded it. Hand tighten it. Don't go grape ape on this. Being careful not to hit the fins. I like to start with this at the front. Just slowly lower it as if it were the hood of a car. Being careful with these fins. I'm not lined up, so I'm going to go to the front. I'll see this tab didn't match, so I'll pick it up, put it over that tab. Make sure I'm fit around the sides. But when I say I could tell I wasn't lined up, I'm looking for my screw holes up here, which do match now. So we'll screw this back on. Now it's just a matter of starting it up and not hearing a terrible sound. All right, back in the house. Like I said, the last thing to do is to check it. We will set the temperature to something reasonable just to make sure it turns on. Set it to cool. When it kicks on, we'll listen to make sure nothing is rattling. No rattle. Fan is blowing. The only thing left to do now is I keep the box until I've ordered a new one to restock my inventory, because it will go bad within a year. I will be replacing another one within the year. You guys have a great day. I hope I helped somebody out here with this video, and I'll talk to you later on.